Ever wondered why some groups are seen as more deserving of financial support than others? It's based on something called social capital. It's where, as a society, we place our sympathy in a rank of who deserves the most and who deserves the least. Now, I say deserves because it's not needs. It's not who needs the most and who needs the least. It's who deserves the most and who deserves the least. So we have the budget coming up, and policy decisions will be made not based on who needs it, but based on who we think deserves it. Some might argue that we ought to be making moral judgments in the way that we distribute public money. But I'd like to argue against this by looking at two similar-ish policies, financial support policies, side by side, and what it tells us about who we think deserves and does not deserve support. Now, there's a social theorist called Van Oorschot who came up with the deservingness scale, and up at the top sits pensioners and veterans. So let's have a think about the winter fuel payment. Now, last year, the government decided to means test the winter fuel payment. That means they wanted to give it to pensioners who needed it financially, not those who don't. So under the old system, millionaires were getting money towards their heating bills in winter. There was a massive public backlash against this because this hits the top group in the social deservingness scale based on their social capital. So the government had to backtrack a little bit. It was all a great big mess, and it was seen as a massive political policy failing for the new Labour government because they were targeting something based on actual need, but it appealed to our sense of that group deserving support. Now, let's contrast this with the two-child benefit limit. This means that families who have 3 or more children are denied the extra financial support that they need based not on their financial need, but because single mothers on benefits actually sit just above migrants, and good grief, we know what we think about those at the moment. They sit just above migrants in terms of their social capital. This is why even really quite sort of progressive, generous people can be heard to say, oh, of all the things, the two-child limit feels fair. It's not fair. It's not based on rationality. It's not based on economics. It's not based on need. It's not based on evidence. It's based on who we as a society think is deserving of help. Why should we care about this? We should care not only because social capital is a fluid thing. So we all aspire one day to be pensioners who get triple lock pensions and winter fuel payments and absolutely everything. So the cynics in us think it's because they vote. It's not. It's because they sit at the top of the social deservingness hierarchy. But most of us are not single mothers on benefits. And we're okay with looking down on that group because it's women, and as a society we're particularly misogynistic when it comes to financial support, but we see this as a moral failure, not based on evidence, not based on anything other than they sit at the bottom of this pile of different groups in terms of their social hierarchy. It matters because policy is not just about the structures and the money that we move around. It's about the moral judgments that we're placing as a societal group, and it's about the behaviours that we exhibit. So we're okay with protests outside migrant hotels, and we're okay with the two-child limit because these groups sit at the bottom of social hierarchy because they have no social capital. We're not okay by messing with triple lock pensions or the winter fuel payment, not because it's based on need. Did you know half of the welfare budget is the state pension? We do not think of the state pension as a benefit because, let's say it all together, it's because the group is at the top of the social capital hierarchy. Not based on need, not based on rationality, based on evidence, not based on evidence. We need better policy.